Then you're also going to have to do 621 image uploads.
On Apple?
But we only have 69 achievements, Adam. Why do we get so many
would there be
images?
so many
Because
pictures?
Apple requires you to have a distinct uploaded image, or not distinct, just an uploaded image, per language. It's part, like, so, right?
I didn't
So
know there was a lot of text on achievement icons.
there's not supposed
ever.
to be.
There never
because
is.
they're tiny.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 575 of Coffee with Butterscotch, the weekly podcast for indie game developers. I'm Seth, and I'm the games programmer.
I'm Adam the web programmer.
I'm Sam, and this episode is a palindrome.
I already forgot what number it was.
But any episode that ends in 5 is a palindrome at the moment because we're in the 500s. Know what I mean?
baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But those are the good ones. They're the best ones.
The
And
best.
we're about to prove it. Also, we are Butterscotch Shenanigans, and today is May 29th, 2020. Quick! So we are just cruising towards the launch of How Many Dudes?
Barely
It's like
towards.
2 months out.
2 months out, 660-ish days. Which means we are dealing with platforms. We are managing achievements. We are working on cloud saving. We're doing all kinds of updating of the store pages. We're submitting the game for events and stuff like that. And well, you know what? We have some opinions about this whole process. So this is going to be our old men yelling at clouds episode. Because
100%.
uh,
So I do want to mention, as you finish making a game, right, you have to start doing all of this integration
you gotta leave
crap.
your cave. You gotta leave your dev cave, and you gotta start hooking your game up to.
Because
other-
you're gonna
Yeah.
publish it somewhere. I mean, you're gonna put it on a store.
And you got to do that. Maybe you already have this. Maybe you got a store page up already. Probably. You should, hopefully, as you
Yeah.
close it on launch. But you got to start doing, everyone's like, hey, if you want more featuring, do some achievements. Put some achievements in that game. Hey, if you want some featuring, put some cloud saving in there too. Hey, people like if the game's Steam Deck verified. Maybe you could do more work for that. And so all the platforms just ask you to do not just the thing you did, right? But they're going to ask you to do 1,000 more things. But those are things that they've decided the shape of specifically. And importantly, none of these people, I want to say none, because I know Steam makes games, but they don't make games. They don't make like a lot of games. Okay, they make one every like a while.
Yeah,
You know
these
what I mean?
days they just buy other people's games, right? So.
Yeah, and so so they're not dogfooding these systems in a vigorous manner, right? They are not testing these themselves internally with the same teams that are building them, which means that, oh my God, as you start going into all this stuff, it's just so annoying.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So we've been
Enraging.
So the kind of the two big things for this week have been clouds. I guess 3 actually. Cloud saving, setting up store pages, and achievements.
Mobile store pages in particular.
Yeah. So let's talk about the cloud saving first,
Okay.
and then we'll get into the other stuff. So we've always done our own cloud. First it was Butterscotch ID, which was kind of like a precursor to our more modern system, which is called Rumpus. But we always wanted to do cross-platform cloud saving, and so that's what we did because we think it's great for players, and it's easier for us as well.
Yeah, it's so much easier for development to have your own cloud with cross-platform, because if you want to test something, you're like, ooh, I got to make sure this works on iOS. Just pick up where you left off on Steam in development. It's so much easier for us to have that.
Yeah. And every platform has their own cloud solution. Some of them force you to use it. I think Xbox is like you have to use their cloud no matter what.
You do, but it kind of just works sort of, because their cloud is basically when you save stuff onto the disk, because the disk is the cloud.
Yeah.
It's like,
But your game's saving system has to save things in a certain way that can hook into their cloud.
it's still a pain in the ass, but at least like it's understandable.
Yeah. But every platform implements cloud saving in a different way. And so, we were like, can we just not deal with all of that and just implement cloud saving one time our own way? And then we have the benefits of cross-platform cloud stuff. And also we have better customer support because if a player's like, hey, there's something weird going on in my save, we can pull the save down and check it out and see what's going on. And potentially even, and we've done this in Crashins too, we can fix stuff in a player's save and then re-upload it back into their cloud. We can't do that on Google. We can't do that with the Steam cloud. Like we can't get into those systems. So it's better for customer support.
Well, I think I do point out that a big part of the reason why we push for our own cross-platform cloud is because the studio's approach for years has been that we want to be able to put our games on everything, right? Even if we don't necessarily, we want to be able to put them on Steam, mobile, consoles, whatever, because of just how fraught the markets are. Like it's a much easier thing to take a game and put it somewhere, basically port it, right?
Yeah,
somewhere new and open up a new revenue stream than it is to like make a whole new game. And so that was a big part of the theory with that. And we ran into problems with this early, where oftentimes platforms don't like the fact that we move progress around, right? That players can move. Platforms themselves do not actually enjoy the fact that players are able to say, take a Steam save and kind of boot into it on Google, right? Or on iOS or something like that, because along with that then comes like achievements and stuff like that they're getting. And they've kind of chilled out about that over the years a little bit.
They did, and then they got less chill again.
Yeah. And so that's part of
the position of all of the stores is that you, as the player, that
your
data is
belong
their
to them.
Data, right? Yeah, that's not your save that you're like, ooh, I want to go play this in other places, and that's just a portability question. To them, your save data is their valuable proprietary data that traps you on the platform, and so
it's
they
not even
absolutely don't want you to take.
It's not even the save data. We've had
It's
pushback on some platforms that we've ended up not even publishing on for reasons like this, where one of the easiest ways to make a user account through Rumpus would be to just use your email address.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you just put your email address in, we send you a login link, boom, your account's created, you've logged in. As opposed to, if you sign in, let's say you're playing on Steam and you sign in using your Steam account. Well, then when you go over to mobile, you don't have a Steam account over there. So you'll need to then go and like link up your Rumpus account and then to your Steam account. There's a whole thing. Whereas if you could
so the original Butterscotch ID was just username and password, and you signed up using an email address so that you could recover,
old school style.
That's
right?
all it was. But yeah, we very quickly weren't allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, because platforms, and it's not that they say like you're not allowed to collect user email addresses. They, in many cases, they say those are our email addresses.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like we collect user email addresses, and those belong to us, and you're not allowed to also have email addresses.
Yeah.
which is
crazy. Most platforms today, well, actually, I don't know if it's most, half of them anyway, will let you do it, but with the caveat, which was added, after, because we started doing this in 2014, we were doing cross-platform cloud saving, right? But as of this point now, it's about like a half and half, where a platform will let you do it, but only if you also support their native authentication system. So that if you're on iOS, then we can have our system in there, but we also are required to. If you can sign into our account system using just your email address or a username and password or whatever, you have to also be able to sign into our account system, right? Using sign in with Apple. Right. It's a requirement. So
they'll reject the game. Like they'll straight up not let us publish the game if we don't add Apple sign in alongside.
And so strategically, we had originally decided not to bother with any of this stuff actually for How Many Dudes, because again, we're trying to make the game fast. This is like really annoying dealing with all this crap. And
we weren't even sure we were going to publish on mobile. Like it was just going to be Steam at the very start.
And so as the plans firmed up and stuff, we're like, hey, we definitely are going to publish on mobile. More of the mobile guidelines have been coming out as far as like what's oftentimes required for featuring. And most of that actually they basically say like you need to be supporting cloud saving in some way. They at least let you be third party, right? Like you could do it yourself, so you don't have to use their system. But they basically say like if you have it, then that's like a point in your favor for some of these additional features.
Yeah, and I think to me that's reasonable to have cloud saving as a not. Because at this point, it's a player expectation, right? That on anywhere they play a game, that I can play my game here, and then my data is being persisted somewhere. So that
they largely want it so that, especially on mobile, so that you move between like a phone and a tablet, right? Yeah. Like they know that your players are oftentimes moving; they're still within their own ecosystem, like the say the Google ecosystem or Apple ecosystem. But I think interesting, like we weren't trying to have to do like a complicated version of this actually at all for How Many Dudes. And so we originally were just going to actually had started down the path of just fully doing cloud saving for each platform.
Just native.
Individually, unlike what we've done in the past, because we're like, okay, we'll just they always want it their way. We'll just do it when they're whatever,
Then we don't have to fight them.
We have to fight them.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any cross-platform stuff going on. It's just whatever. So if you're on Steam, it's your Steam Cloud stuff. If you're on Google, it's good, whatever. That turned out to be too much.
Well, we
So
ran into the
down
same reasons we had built our own fucking system in the first place.
Yes.
Like we just ran headlong right into.
Well, because what we're basically thinking is like if we use their system, then we can keep it really simple, and we don't need to worry about the user managing their saves or profiles or whatever. Right? It's like actually. Nope, you still have to solve all those problems because, for example, like on Google, you sign in, you would like boot up the game, and then you'd have your Google Play Games profile or whatever. But you can change that at any time, right?
Yeah.
So you like
and you can be not signed in at all.
Yeah, you can be not signed in, which means you still need a guest save system. So you still need to develop like a profiles management system. And then because somebody could change their account at any time, including like they could be in the middle of a battle, right? And then they could like tab out of the game and then like swap accounts. Then the game has to catch that and then solve that problem. And then also you still need a UI for conflict management. So like if you pull down something from the server that's not what you expected, it's like maybe you played for a while on this device, and then you pull something down from the server, and that also has progressed in a different way, then you got these two files you have to resolve, which means you got to build a UI for resolving conflicts. So as we kind of go down the list, and we realize like, wow, we already solved all this stuff with Rumpus.
Well, importantly, it's like, what was it,
does
like
all these
Steam
things.
essentially, Steam's cloud saving service that they have actually solves all these problems for you as a dev, right?
Yeah. Baseline Steam has basically two ways of doing cloud. One is this kind of like bulk cloud saving where before you boot up the game, they just sync everything in a folder.
And they're just syncing the files on the disk.
Yeah.
Right?
So just
There's
whatever's in a folder, they just pull it down and replace. They
Right.
take it from the cloud. They replace what's in your folder, and then after the game closes, then they upload everything. So it's just before.
But
and
they
after.
manage all that. They have all that stuff built in though, as far as like conflict resolution things. I mean, you might have seen this if you're on Steam and you.
Well, yeah, it's just
game,
happening
say,
externally because they can basically tell like, oh hey, like there's the stuff we have on our servers, right? The files we have have a different timestamp basically than the ones you started from when you started playing.
But importantly, they did it. Like they did the work for that.
They did
right?
that, yeah.
So hooking that up on Steam.
So we already have that on even the demo for How Many Dudes, which is what allows you to move it from Steam to your Steam Deck or whatever.
Exactly.
But because on mobile you don't close apps, right? So with Steam, their thing is like you open the game, you play it, and then you close it and we sync. On mobile, it's like there is no closing it. You just start doing something else, right?
Yep.
So there's no obvious moment, which means the cloud saving on mobile has to be managed within the game by you, the developer. You decide when you're gonna trigger these things.
And also on Steam,
kind of,
I would say that the people who designed cloud saving as a concept on Steam were people who needed it because they were making video games that needed to have cloud saving, right? That's where they were dogfooding this.
Right.
Also, because Steam made the Steam
platforms?
Deck, you know what I mean? Like they have the PCs and the Steam Deck, so they know that they want to be able to move any game content right across.
Yeah, and
across
this
the board.
predates that by, but the whole like with Steam, like the whole thing is your library. That's where their value is, right? And so they've had cloud saving for forever. And again, it was clearly designed extremely agnostically to basically say, hey, games saves work all kinds of ways, and they need all kinds of files for all kinds of reasons. So we don't have opinions about that. So you just you're syncing files. There's not really a meaningful save concept, right? On Steam, they don't have opinions about what it means to have a save. To them, they're just like, yeah, a save is something you put on the disk so that you have it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't give a shit. Do you need 1,000 of them? Do you need 5 of them? Do you need 1 of them? We don't care. You just sync whatever you want. It's just a generic syncing service. That's all it is, right?
And that's perfect because that's all you
We
need.
don't have to then adapt how saves work to fit how Steam syncing works.
Yeah.
Right?
So now walk us through the mobile side then, because I think that's why I want to set the stage as far as like the reality of the differences in how these platforms approach the saves, and then what that means for you on the dev side, right? You're trying to wrangle the shit to make it happen. So like, what does it look like?
So Sure is the real expert because he spent quite a bit of time digging through all of the docs and starting to set everything up to make it work. And then as he and I were reviewing stuff and talking about the implementation, after a while, we both just landed on like, oh my god, just fuck this. Let's just go to Rumpus.
Well, yeah, what I can say is the way that Google Play does safe syncing is it's backed by Google Drive, right? Because that's their generic like file savings.
Which also means you could run out of storage.
Yeah, because it's now
and
like
you would need to buy more Google Drive storage, which means cloud saving just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So that's weird, but it also means that they have an extremely clunky, like you have to open a file in essence, and then you have to like hold it. There's like a multi-step process to do syncing.
You have to open like a syncing operation, which then sort of sends you. It's like a code check, right? It sends you back like this tag, right?
Yeah.
And then you do your file operations with this tag, and then you have to declare that you're done, and you close the syncing operation.
Well, it's extremely cumbersome.
Taking the like, I guess probably the like enterprise level, like everyone's typing together in a Google Doc, right? That you're basically taking that system, and saying, all right, let's use
a save to it.
So let's game saves to it.
But also Google does this thing where they will declare that a file is conflicted, and then just kind of throw it in your lap as the developer. And you can't sync or do anything with that file until you mark the conflict as resolved. And so however they define a conflict might actually not jive with what we think of as a conflict, right? They've said that there's a conflict, and now we just have to figure out why they've said that and what we need to do about it.
So no built-in conflict resolution.
Yeah, right. Built-in conflict
declaration.
Okay, well, that's good.
But not.
Yeah,
but it might be wrong.
Might be wrong, or like in the case of a game, we like to use margins because like if you're constantly throwing in front of a player like, hey, these files are conflicted, it kind of freaks people out. People don't like that. And so we like to use kind of a grace period where we'll basically say like in How Many Dudes, what we're angling for is we're syncing every about 2 minutes as you play the game. And we will sync as long as your play time has gone up by at least a minute and your round number has changed, right? So it's like just like a couple little things to make sure that something meaningful has happened and you're not just idling, right? And so if it turns out that like you pull down a file from the server and those metrics are actually very close, so it's like, oh yeah, the file from the server has 30 seconds more of playtime than what you have on your device.
Yeah, who cares?
We'll just keep what's on your device, So we
can also do smart stuff too, where we can be like, there are certain kinds of things, and
you can just merge
in a game where you just want the higher number. You don't need to resolve a conflict. You just pick the higher number. And there's some things where you can't do that. And then but we can still have smart heuristics that are game dependent where we decide, oh, well, in this scenario, we can just automatically keep this one and whatever. Like we can decide all these things about how that's going to work, but not with the concept of just like, hey, oh my God, this is a conflict.
Or like even on Steam, we can't do that, right? Because if Steam is just like, we replaced the files, we're like, oh shit. All right, well, I guess that's that then. And so, so on Google, they kind of have this like awkward thing where with the conflict stuff. But then on iOS,
iOS has a lot of opinions about what saves are.
It has a lot of opinions about like where you can put saves, how to handle them.
And they come in slots. So you have, I think it's like, there used to be 3. There's more now. I'm not sure how many there are. But
it's not files. It's a save.
It's a slot.
And
so you have to know what a slot means, right?
And which slot you're saving to. For some fucking reason. And then also even like on iOS, I'm pretty sure this is correct. The syncing will happen passively. So like you're not always deciding that you're downloading a file. Sometimes you just got one now. Like it just kind of throws you a synced file because it got uploaded from another device or whatever, kind of midstream. And then you just have to kind of figure out what to do about that. So like with Rumpus, our solution to all these things is basically let things be cached and then deal with them as they come. So like if we download a file from Rumpus, it goes off into its own folder, which is this Rumpus folder that is basically it's a
It's a snapshot. It's what we last got from the server.
It's whatever files we last got from the server. So the game can then at any time just check those files and be like, how are we doing? Are we good?
Or
Do we need
update
to
them,
do
or-
anything?
yeah,
Right.
we're good. Yep.
So they're there, but also like we get to decide when we're syncing. We get to decide the parameters of these files, how many of them is allowed per user, how to store them, file formats, whatever.
Yeah, we adjust that per game because
yeah.
and we also have, importantly, the ability to add metadata that doesn't live within the save itself to saves that we can use when we're doing this stuff to be like, oh, I need this save that's used for this purpose, or I need like this particular thing. We can just tell which one has that.
Yeah.
Right. We can store metadata. We can store metadata like playtime or other kinds of like helpful conflict resolution management metadata. Doesn't have to live in the save. So we don't have to like grab the whole ass save to ask a question of like, do we want this? Is this, whatever.
Okay, so we basically went from being like, let's not do Rumpus, just do a per platform thing because it seems like it'll be easier. Started doing it. It was only easier actually on Steam, right? Truthfully.
Yeah, because on Steam you can just kind of not.
Steam's kind of
it's
kind
not.
of dumb,
it's not
right?
better on Steam because of the things we just talked about. Because like it's a brute force conflict resolution system.
But it works. It works for most, like 99% of cases, fine.
Yeah.
But then on mobile, it's like, oh wow, okay, never mind. That is actually two different kinds of panes, right? That you'd have to engineer a bunch of solutions for. So let's just
and
do our own
they can eat,
again.
but and that's not even talking about that. So that's like the golden path implementation of like, oh, I see how I have to do it. I do all the things, and I've done it right. Each one can also fail in different and spectacular ways, right?
Yeah.
And each one is dependent on authentication. So now there's like, you have to successfully authenticate. That has its own collection of ways that things can go wrong. Once you've successfully authenticated onto their service, then you have to be able to manage all this data. That has all of its ways that it can go wrong. And so now, like, for every platform you're dealing with, except for Steam, because Steam is just like,
because it's dumb, actually. It's being like very simple.
yeah, it's extremely stupid on Steam. Yeah, because by the time the game boots up, the game is effectively it's just talking to files on disk. It's effectively unaware that syncing is a concept, right? On Steam.
Yes.
And on these other platforms, it's an integrated part that's happening on the fly as you're doing stuff.
So what it basically comes down to then is if you want to use a platform's syncing logic, then you have to just build it from the bottom up. You have to build it from scratch. And
you have to adapt how your game works.
You have to adapt how your game works. And you have to do that every time.
Just every times, yep.
For every platform. So you might have like a different way of saving files on one platform versus another. You might have like one has user profiles and the other one, like on Steam, there's no such thing as user profiles. You can't change your Steam account while the game is running, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on other platforms you can, right? And so how does that affect where you're going to save the files? Quite a bit, actually, it turns out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so so we ended up going. So like first we had, tasked Sure with doing all this research and figuring out all these SDKs to work with these different platforms,
implementing the low level details in the game. So
because basically thinking like, well, if they work even close to what Steam is doing, then it'd be a breeze.
Should be easy, yeah.
Right?
Not a big deal.
Well, we already knew it didn't work that way, but we still figured like
it can't be that bad.
We're just syncing files. All we're doing is uploading and downloading files. That's all we're doing.
I think the way I would describe it is the same way we talk about a lot, which is if we're paying these people 30% of
our money,
I would assume that someone thought about this for like 15 seconds like from a game standpoint, okay? From a game standpoint.
That's where you'd be wrong.
And you're wrong every time. Every time.
I'm pretty sure I would all but guarantee that for Google Play and for the App Store, that the people who made these systems were people who know a lot about apps.
Yes.
Right? And maybe have played a game or two. But they are absolutely not people who make games or ever talked to a single game developer.
Definitely.
While they're developing this. And we actually see that, like, we see this in these platforms too, because there are features that roll out from both Google Play and Apple, where they're like, hey, look at this cool new thing we just released, right? And then you look at it as a game developer, you're like, oh, yes, you guys didn't talk to anybody. A single fucking person who makes games for a living and knows the variety of things that can happen to like make a game work and all this kind of stuff. You literally didn't even do a single second of research. Didn't talk to a single person.
We're
just like, you just did some stuff, right? And these systems, and of course, once it's like a cloud saving system, you can't change that once you have it, really, right? So like, it kind of is
just
what it
there
is.
now.
And so if some fucking rando who's like, oh yeah, my job at the App Store is to make sure we can sync files for apps, and someone's like, oh yeah, we need this to work for video games too, right? Then like, okay, cool. Well,
It does. I mean,
video games have
files.
saves, right? Because I've played Nintendo games when I was 5.
Yeah,
So
Legend of Zelda has 3 save slots, right?
Yeah,
so let's
that's
just make our
so
system.
that's what games are, right? Games have 3
Same.
save slots.
Oh,
It's just so dumb.
So we
Yeah.
go from riding the high, right, of cloud saving here to
Well, I will say though, this is just to kind of cap us off with
Okay.
an announcement. We have cross-platform cloud saving, and how many dudes now?
we do. We
so-
do. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
we do.
do.
Yeah. So through Rumpus, because we're
Well, we didn't even get into the other part, which is you're talking about this is the technical stuff, right?
Mhm.
And you're talking about how, from a marketing standpoint, the platforms are like, hey, you really should do this, or we're not going to show your stuff, right? But they also have requirements, right?
Mhm.
Like, and so we also have to thread this needle of like their systems are bad, poorly designed, complete bullshit. So we want to use our own, right? We can't just use our own. We can't just do that, right? Because here's the other thing. So Google Play. Yeah, we're allowed to have our own cloud saving,
Mhm.
right? But you know what we're still required to do so that we can get featuring, and all that kind of stuff. We still have to fully integrate achievements on the platform.
Mhm.
We still have to fully integrate Sidekick, this new thing.
Mhm.
So we still have to fully integrate all that stuff, which means that we still have to be able to authenticate the Google Play user. We still have to be able to let the user switch accounts and all this kind of stuff, right? And now we're left with this question of what does that mean with respect to the user syncing their data, right? Because if we don't couple those things together, then that's confusing, right? Because now you can like sign in with Google Play because it's like the thing will pop up and ask you to do it. You sign in, and it's like, cool, and now we're seeking achievements. Then you're going to see a thing that's like, hey, you're not signed in. You're like, what do you mean? I'm not signed in. What do you mean?
You're not signed into
Right.
to Rumpus.
Yeah, because you're not signed into
specifically, yeah.
Rumpus yet. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, hey, we can like hook into, which we do, right? We can hook Rumpus into Google Auth, and we could, right? Except
We could just slide you right in there. You know, We could.
and we used to. That's how Levelhead works, right?
You
That's
just boot
how
up the game, and
operations
if you're signed in, it'd be like,
Except you know what these fuckers did?
what did they do?
What? They followed
Simple.
Apple's fucking footsteps, which they started doing in 2018, I think. They were like, hey, you guys, you know what? Privacy is super
privacy.
important.
Yeah, we're
Privacy
Google,
is
and we
so
are really
yeah,
concerned
which is
about
common,
privacy.
but yeah, privacy, so deeply important. So
Uh-huh.
you know what we can't have is we can't have developers who have access to the unique identifier for your account, for your Google account, for your Apple account, right? We can't have that because, hey,
Couldn't have that.
now they know your random unique identifier. That doesn't
Because then
mean
they know
anything.
user number 722955,
Yeah.
who played this one game of theirs, also played this other game of theirs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they
That's-
added
that's privacy.
this new privacy concept that Apple started, and they were doing this when we already had Rumpus, so we were like adapting to it as this shit was happening. So and they rolled this out to us again as like, look at this cool thing we're doing, right? And they basically made it so that if you have an app on the App Store and now in Google Play, and you want to use their authentication systems, which again you're required to do, then the only identifier you can get back from the user is one that is specific to the game.
So the user gets a random ID for every game that they play, which means you can't tell who the user is.
There's also a way on the App Store, at least there was. We haven't fucked with these systems once they started, but there was also a way to do it on a per publisher basis. Which, hey, cool. Except, what happens if you need to move your game to a different publisher's portfolio? That ID changes.
Yep.
Everyone's data's gone.
And
now.
if you're using that ID for cloud saving, if you're using it for
anything
for profile, like anything to do with that user.
Yeah. Which again, the whole reason that a global identifier for a user is useful is so that you can link their fucking data so that they don't lose
so that
it.
they have access to it.
So they have access to it. So they made it literally impossible to sign in with Apple and then have a stable identifier, right? They made it literally impossible to sign in with Google Play, right? And then have a unique identifier.
And I think it's
right?
important to kind of highlight that, like, we make video games, so the data that we have is your save.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we have, and this is and these platforms are going out of their way to make it as hard as possible for us to just like let a player keep their save and keep their data. Meanwhile, Facebook exists.
Yeah.
And
On those platforms.
on these platforms.
Well, and also, meanwhile, those platforms themselves exist. Like, do you think when Apple's showing you ads all the time inside of the App Store?
Oh, they're just farming your
using
data.
your data to do it,
It's just they're just slurping it up.
Anyway,
That's super annoying.
so basically, which brings us back to the cloud saving thing again, right? So yeah, we can use our own system, right? As long as we adhere to the rules where somebody signs into it, they have to be able to sign into it using platform sign-in methods, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other weird part about that is like if you're signing in with Google or signing in with Apple, that's a different authentication system than signing into Game Center on the App Store. That's the one that gives you the random fucking ID, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one that you're required to sign into for achievements again, right? for anything that talks to like their game systems, right? And on Google, same deal. If you want to sign into Google Play game services for achievements, for cloud saving, for all that kind of stuff, right? That's a different ID, and that's the one that's game specific, right?
Right.
So
Because
now
it's kind of like if you go to like let's say you go to Todoist or something, you can sign in with Google, right?
Mhm.
There's like a little Google icon, right?
Yep.
That's not the same
that's Google.
authentication
That's your
service.
actual Google account.
Yeah. So separately, there's Google Play game services, which like when you open up Google Play, and then you're looking at like I'm saying, you look
Yeah,
at your
that's your
achievements,
rewards, achievements, all that.
yeah,
And
that's
that used to give you the same ID that your normal Google account has.
Yeah,
Because
but they're
it's your
decoupled
same
now.
fucking account.
and they're
yeah.
two separate systems. They're both linked to your Google account, sort of on the Google side of things. But they are two separate accounts that the game has to talk
Yeah.
to.
And so you know what that means you can't do with either of these, right? That means that if you want to be able to go cross-platform, link to something else, whatever, right? You can't go to like bscotch.net and then log in with Google Play game services, right?
Right. Because we don't know who the hell you are.
We don't know who you are.
Yeah.
It's literally impossible.
We
for
cannot
it to
know
work,
who
right?
you are. Yeah.
We can't know who you are. There's probably a way we could like hack around and fake it and then have a different login with Google Play game services for each game we have, which is insane,
Yeah.
right? So we can't do that. So that basically means we're left in this position for both of the mobile stores where we should not use their cloud services because it's a pain in the ass to implement, not really worth our time, and we already have our own system. And if we did do that, we lose all these features we would otherwise have of being able to go cross-platform for developer purposes and
Customer
also
save
for
support.
players.
Yeah.
So we lose that, but we still have to have achievements on the platform.
Yeah. So okay, let's hit me with the achievements
So-
now, because this
and-
is
So now people have to sign in twice.
Well, yeah,
sign
so-
in twice to the game.
let's go. So this is someone set the stage again. So achievements, right? Everybody loves them. You love achievements.
Love a good
You
achievement.
love a good achievement. It's just like it's just a little friggin' carrot, you get for doing something interesting in a game. There's all sorts of design considerations for how hard they should be, how easy they should be, whatever. We don't care about that. We're saying you have to have them because
You got it.
Every platform
regardless,
demands you have them.
every platform demands you have them. Players demand you have them, even though they're always angry about the specifics, right? To some
Sure.
degree,
Yeah.
no matter what. Can't please
That's-
everybody. It's just like we had a game. You can't please everybody. So, you pick your line, whatever. But you will have achievements because the platforms really want you to have them. They have other surfacing mechanisms within the stores, right? So you see this on stuff like Steam, where it'll be like, you could see your friends' recent achievements and stuff like that. Will also sometimes like kind of pop up in various places. So-and-so got this in this game. So it's a way of basically providing another discovery hook for your game. And again, is like required by platforms for a variety of featuring things because it's viewed as, it's essentially just saying like the game is a complete game. It's a real game. You're not just like throwing something out and fucking around. So you would think then, if they're so important, if they're required by everybody, that the setup of these things, of which you have to have oftentimes at least like 40, okay? That is Google Play suggests
Google Play
40
requires
specifically.
10, suggests at least 40.
Yeah. So if I said every game is going to have at least 40 of these things on our service, then I would expect that whoever builds it in a way that is able to support the fact that
You need 40.
you need 40 of them, and that they are fully localized. Right? There's images attached to them. They're localized. They are attached to data that comes from the game itself. The data can be bespoke in all sorts of ways. You could say like, hey, kill this boss. Okay, that's Boolean. Did you do it? Yes or no? You could say, hey, do this really weird thing. Where
Do a
it's like,
million damage in one hit.
yeah, a million damage in one hit. So the game's like listening and then fires off that thing. Or you could say like, hey, just collect 5,000 of these over your whole gameplay. So it's just slowly ticking up, right? There's all these sorts of ways in which these things can be shaped. And again, you would expect you'd expect that maybe the thing would be shaped in such a way that that would be easy to do. If you want me to make 40 of these fucking things, and you're in charge of how I make them, I would expect that you make it easy for me to do, right? And not just me, but again, tens of thousands of game developers.
I don't know, Sam. It sounds like a you problem, you know?
And yeah, and again, I'm not just gonna be pointing at Google Play here, because Steam, we talked about this a few weeks aw, a little bit. We dug in a little bit on
And
Steam.
the App Store.
And the App Store. All of them do the same thing, where the achievements shit is just either it's like broke as fuck. It requires a bunch of weird, stupid things.
It's
Cumbersome.
main thing is it's extremely manual.
Yes.
They don't have APIs that you can hook into.
Well, they technically have APIs. Technically, right?
I'm going to say they don't.
But to use, well, I guess, but it's all over the place. So Steam does not. Steam has no APIs and don't want to have any. It's actually a design choice, which is insane.
It wouldn't be insane if it worked.
If it was a good experience, yeah. Google Play has very legacy APIs that they've been slowly deprecating. So, for example, you can technically, there are APIs to like create and update achievements, except for icons. There used to be for icons, but they had deprecated that. It doesn't work anymore.
No more.
The App Store technically has complete API support. But even if you have API support, you know what that means everybody has to fucking do? Every developer has to figure out, okay, how do I implement this API to automate this stuff so I can batch upload things, so I can get the data I need, so I can do all this kind of stuff? And you know what they could have done instead? Had a batch uploader.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
What are you talking about?
They could have just done that for you.
Let's rank them in terms of how bad the experience is on each, and then we'll just walk through the problems.
Yeah, and Adam, I also you collected some statistics on just like how many operations are required.
Yeah. Oh yeah, get ready to be mad.
Because how many dudes? We don't have 40 achievements. We got 69 achievements.
That's right.
Not on purpose. That's just where we landed, and we're like, let's just stop there. That
sounds good.
That's pretty good.
That's a funny one. Yeah, I got it pulled up.
You got it.
So but as far as the ranking in terms of like how ridiculous this is, and I mean ridiculous.
So Apple's the worst.
Okay.
Well, I guess it depends. So I'm gonna take the API part out.
Yeah, more about the all of them.
Because nobody's gonna interact with the APIs. Because again, you would have to dedicate engineering time to implement API stuff to your own. No one's gonna do it. Nobody does it, right? So APIs basically don't matter.
Yeah.
So Apple's the worst because there's zero mechanism for you to batch do anything. Everything is manual.
We'll get to the details in a sec. I want to see. So it's Apple.
So Apple's Google. The worst. Google Play is the next worst because Google Play allows you to batch create.
I won't get the details yet. I want to talk about Steam first. So let's go to Steam.
And
give me the rundown of like what's the stupid shit going on in Steam.
Yeah,
Number one.
Steam is the least worst. Not the best though.
It's still terrible.
Okay. Steam is terrible, but it's the least. Actually, you could make an argument that Google is the least worst. Because if you hold off and only create your achievements when you have everything you need, all of your icons, all of your translations, if you wait and do it then, you can do one single batch operation. Yeah, you have to make all the files to do it, and that sucks. And it's kind of like dealing with an API, right? But it's just CSV files and a folder.
Honestly, that's more than I expected.
Yeah,
so that's pretty good.
So and this is not how anybody does it, so that's part of the problem, right? Because if you're a developer, you're like,
why would you do something?
Oh, let me go configure my achievements, and then I'll go later, and I can test them and stuff, and then later on I'll go add my localization and whatever. So right, but if you do that, you're toast. If you wait until you have every single thing you need, you can do it in one fell swoop and be done. Okay.
So
there's some other bullshit about Google Play.
But when you say you can do it in one fell swoop, you mean you must actually, unless you want to experience the pain, because once you do it one time,
but
you cannot undo that and redo it.
If you add a language again later on, that's all manual, so right? But it is technically possible for you to basically have to do kind of one thing, right?
Right, but I want to be very specific when I say it's extremely fragile because you can only do it one time.
Yeah,
and then let's say you change a bunch of stuff and you're like, let me just batch upload this. Nope,
not an option.
No, actually, you cannot. Yeah. Now you got to go do everything manually.
So it's kind of a toss up because then Steam is fully manual setup of like the details. So you have to manually upload your icons. You have to upload a grayscale version, even though they could just fucking grayscale your image for you. Right?
You have to name the JPEG
You have to
JPG.
name it .jpg instead of .jpeg, otherwise it'll fail without an
Because
explanation.
Valve takes a 30% of your money, but
Yeah.
cannot rename a file for you nor grayscale it.
Can't tell
What the
that,
fuck?
that JPEG is a JPEG.
So enraged by this.
Yeah, you gotta have the right size, all that kind of stuff. And that's true for all the platforms. Not the extension part. Everybody else can tell that a JPEG is a JPEG, but like the size has to be right and all that kind of stuff, right? So, so basically on Steam, you have to configure the ID of each of your achievements, which is also and like that interface hasn't changed since we started making games on Steam in 2014, right?
Mm.
I don't think it ever changed. I think it is whatever the hell started as, right?
I think somebody threw it together with PHP and SQL in like 2007.
Yeah, and it just hasn't
that's
changed.
where
right?
we landed.
And so it's a very janky interface, and it's very manual, right? So you're adding them in, you have to then fill out your ID, but it isn't really. You also wouldn't know that you can then not in that moment add the name and description, right? You wouldn't know that you could skip that part for now and just get all your IDs in there and all that kind of stuff. You also have to link it to stats. So you have to also make a bunch of stats and then link it. So there's some
on a
bullshit,
separate interface.
on a separate interface.
Yeah. You
So
go
there's some
somewhere else to do
bullshit
that.
for configuration, but the number of like inputs you have to do is in essence like for each of your achievements, you have to have a stat with an ID. So you set an
set it
ID,
somewhere else.
set a
Okay.
max value, right? And then you have your achievement, which has an ID again, links to a stat. So you have to choose a stat and then has a max value, right? So there's like, whatever.
has
For
a name
every
and
achievement,
description.
there's like
name,
5.
description, icon, and grayscale. Yeah.
Yeah. But the name description, again, you can skip because Steam at least lets you batch manage your text.
Okay.
So they don't treat your like English or whatever your source text, your original text is, as like meaningfully distinct from localization, right? So you can leave all that shit default or blank or whatever, and it's fine. And then you can come in later and, you're dealing with bullshit again because now it's like Steam's weird bespoke Valve data format file. So you have to figure out how to make those files, right? But you can technically. It's a possible thing you can do where you can then have part of your like localization pipeline generate those files for you, so you can just upload. You can just upload them, and you did it now. All the text is up to date, right?
Okay. That's nice.
So-
I guess that's
so-
nice.
But it's a similar thing to Google Play, where it's like technically with constraints,
Yeah.
still kind of bullshit, right? So those two are kind of like neck and neck in terms of if you do things right and you know about all this, and you have the proficiency you need to build the files, because you still have to make those files.
But let's say, and I want to assume that we're not somehow magically batch uploading on the first try to Google that the achievements work. What does that look like then?
Yeah. So
Just
if we
doing the
don't,
normal process.
which by the way, this is also why we're building LudoKit, which we talked about a bunch. Is so LudoKit right now, I'm working on the thing that builds those files for Steam and for Google Play, so that we can just do it once, at least on those platforms, which we cannot do on Apple, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so if
What
you
is-
did it,
what does
so
it look
here's
like if you do it
here's what it
manually?
looks like. So here's the numbers if we
Yeah.
across these 3 platforms for how many dudes, which means these 69 achievements. right?
69 achievements cause.
In how
what?
many languages? 8
Uh, and-
or 9?
in
9 languages total.
9 languages, yeah.
Yeah.
So on Apple, here's what we have to do. We have to fill out 1,863 individual form fields. So that's names, descriptions, whatever.
By hand. Manually.
Goals, all that kind of stuff. By hand, manually.
Because Apple does not have an uploader for languages.
They got
at
nothing.
all.
They do not.
Not even a one shot like Google where you can
Nothing.
Just
literally
do it.
sick.
Do it
Do
by
it
hand.
1,800 fucking times. Okay,
1,800
next.
And you got to do it right every single one of those times.
What do you mean you got to do it right every time?
As in, like, you're now switching languages and you're like
Oh,
copy
yeah,
pasting
yeah,
from
yeah.
the thing and you're keeping track of which one am I even looking at, right? So you got to do 1,863 file or form field input operations correctly, right?
Yep.
Which is not only tedious, but you're going to fuck it up. That's
Because
gonna happen.
because it's tedious.
Because it's tedious and manual, and there's no way to have it not be, right? And then you're also going to have to do 621 image uploads.
On Apple?
But we
on
only have
Apple.
69 achievements, Adam. Why do
Why
we
would
need
you-
Why the
so
fuck
many
would there be so
images?
many
Because
pictures?
Apple requires you to have a distinct uploaded image, or not distinct, just an uploaded image per language. It's part so, right?
I didn't
So
know there was a lot of text on achievement icons.
there's not supposed
ever.
to be
There never
because
is.
they're tiny.
I believe even as part of the guidelines, perhaps,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've looked. I could look, but I'm pretty sure They say don't put any fucking text on here.
I know, well, the other platforms definitely say don't do it. So I'm guessing Apple must say, hey, put tiny text on there if you want to guess. Because like, otherwise,
because we're going to force you to make a translated
'Cause we're
version
gonna force
of
you to
your, of your
So
icon.
of
What
course,
the hell?
for almost every developer, what are you going to do? You're going to upload the same image for every single language because it would be stupid to make icons that
To
have
make
text
600
on them
different
localized.
images.
Because it is stupid. It is
It's just dumb.
It's
There's
just
no
stupid.
reason to do it.
Nobody needs
And
this.
and
But
on
you have to do
Apple, they have actually two different descriptions. They have a locked description and an unlocked description, so that when somebody unlocks the achievement, you can, I don't know, be festive about the description and make it change for some reason, I guess. So same deal
Is
there.
that like because they're trying to do secret achievements? Because you have those on
No,
the
that's a separate thing. They do have that as a total.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's just because they want
useless again. Did we talk to anybody?
flavor.
Did anybody talk to
Again,
anyone? No.
Nobody
okay.
needs this.
Sick. Love
So
it.
you could technically do it. What we do is we just copy paste the description twice, and then we upload the same image a million fucking times, right? So, and that's what everybody should do because there's no reason to do anything different.
Yeah.
But you have to because there's no fallbacks of any kind. Nothing is optional, right? You have to do all of it.
I love it.
So Apple by far the worst because of that. Everything's manual, and you have to do more of it, right? So Google, again, if you do the batch upload and you just get all your ducks in a row and you build those files and you can do it once.
I mean,
If you don't, then depending on which parts you didn't batch, then for everything you've got left, let's just assume all of it in this case, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Then you still have 1,311 form fields to fill out correctly. and
why? I
successfully.
only have 69 achievements.
Yeah,
Why do I
it's
have
because you got a name, You got a
1,311?
description, and you got to do it for every language. And again, it doesn't fall back, so you have to.
Sick.
So that's fun. And 69 image uploads. So at least, one image per achievement. That's all you can
So-
do. That's
As
what
a
you must
fun statistic, Apple has something like 15 times as many engineers working for them as the number of form fields we have to fill out.
Give them each one, please. Assign these.
They could assign 15 engineers to each form field that we are
Figure out a
filling
way.
out and figure out a way to automate it.
Yeah.
The
Just
thing
don't
is,
do
like-
it. The craziest part, you don't have to do it. Just turn it off. Just quit fucking making us upload images.
There's some stuff you
What
can
are
just
you
stop doing, and that would save us a whole bunch of time.
That's
right?
crazy.
But in the absence
Just
of that,
quit it.
let us batch upload stuff.
What the
Just
fuck?
let us batch upload stuff. So okay, so that's
Just let
that's
us
Google.
batch
So then we get to
Just
Steam,
God
and then Steam
damn.
because Steam says, "Hey, sure, technically, we could just automatically grayscale your icon for you, but
But who has the time?
and also that's
Time, baby.
but also that's what we tell you is what you really just honestly must be doing. Anything else, we don't like it. So your
It
locked
will be
state
grayscale. It cannot be.
should
Yes.
should/must be grayscale, and we're
It
not going
must
to like
be.
it otherwise. So yeah, so we could just do that for you. We could.
Valve is like, we only got $3.4 million of operating profit per
Yeah,
employee,
but we're
baby.
not
Man,
going
no one's got
We
time
don't-
for this.
We don't got
We're
the
not gonna do
resources
that.
to grayscale
So-
an image.
So instead, you have to have two distinct images
Fuck.
for every single one, right? So what do? We just fucking
We just grayscale it.
we just batch grayscale it and then just
Yeah.
But now we have to do that. But we have to then have something that batch grayscales things, and then we have to manually go through
Yep.
150 images.
Well, you just
And
got to pick where you upload them because it's like put the regular one here, put the gray one here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's
Yeah, because
two
again, there's
uploads.
no
So-
batch process. There's no way to be like, hey, I've already set up all my IDs, so here's a bunch of images named after those IDs, and one is called
Underscore
ID
gray.
unlocked, and one's called ID locked or
Yep.
gray or whatever. Can I just upload those? No,
No,
absolutely
fuck you.
not. Yeah, fuck. Absolutely not.
No,
So you just have to manually
Just
drag them all there,
Oh.
right? And
Oh
then
my God.
and that's that thing too, where because this was built a million years ago by just one dude probably who then never used it, right? Then it's like if you do anything even a little quote unquote wrong, not literally wrong, as in like you know it's a valid extension for a JPEG image, JPG. You know what else is
Yep.
JPEG? Those
Yep.
are both valid standard extensions. You know what Steam can't figure out? What JPEG means.
I don't know what the fuck this is. It's like an infomercial person.
Dude,
And
you know
I
what-
feel like this.
You know what
this
else it
stage-
doesn't do is give you an error message that explains what happened.
It just says that it didn't work.
It says something about the image being malformed or
Malformed.
something about it being like broken in essence.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. We
So
had
that-
to just guess because we like read back through it, and I was like, maybe because like they say
we had to guess.
they say it has to be a
Hey,
JPEG.
we haven't done
or-
trading cards yet. I gotta tell you, the trading cards is even worse. So
Yeah.
buckle up for what
Yep.
we.
Yeah.
I feel like this stage of dev is the. I guess I'll go fuck myself then.
Yeah.
Where-
This is also the stage where because like it's maddening enough knowing how little support you get from every platform.
and how much they demand you
And
work.
how much
using
how
their
much
systems.
how much of your money they take in exchange for how little they do for you in the first place, and then seeing how much of your time they basically, I'm going to say, intentionally waste because they don't.
It has
doesn't
to be a
have be like
choice.
this.
That's
It's
a choice at this point. This has been
It's
this
an
way
active
for fucking
choice.
10 fucking years. You
Yeah.
can't tell me that someone at Valve hasn't chosen to not fix the fucking achievements uploader from.
Yeah, it
blocking
doesn't have to be
JPEGs.
this way. It doesn't have
Give
to.
me a fucking break.
Yeah,
That's
so,
unreal, dude.
So we're over here just wasting, literally, like by the time we get, and this is ignoring even all of the engineering time that we're to try to like make this stuff be less shitty, right?
I feel like veins are popping out of my neck.
I know.
I'm so fucking mad about this.
By the time we get all
It's
this
just
done,
unreal.
we'll have spent a dozen hours probably. You know,
Mhm.
like just on the tasks of like.
It would
uploading,
take them
filling
less
things,
time
checking
to
it.
just fix it.
That's what I
Exactly.
mean. I'm not
Exactly.
asking for like something
We're-
crazy.
And we're just one
Instead,
studio.
they're
You're like-
wasting every developer's
Every
and
developer.
publisher's.
You're like,
and,
Apple, could you just not make us upload 1,000 more images than we
Yeah.
need to?
and they're like, hey,
they're like,
what about this
no.
games app we just made?
We're
It's
like, please.
Nope, that's not what we
please."
want. Can you just fucking let us automate this stuff, right? So that's the Steam for the images, right? And then after that, for the R69 achievements, you then have to fill out 128 form fields to set up your stats, and then you have to fill out 207 form fields to fill out your achievements to basically
You got to
create
link them
with
together,
the stats
right?
and all that
Do you have
stuff,
to hand type the name of the stat to link it
yeah.
together?
They do have a drop down.
Wow.
So a true miracle.
Holy
of-
shit.
of
Someone
working on
thought
a
about it for
platform
4
backend.
seconds.
Are
Yeah.
those stats used for something else?
They can be used for like because you can like surface them in some way for other purposes and
Hmm.
stuff. So
Okay.
it's actually like it's a cool system and concept because like the stats are their own thing and you can just send data to it.
Yeah,
and
so
you
it's
can
just
use
like
it
it's like a number
And-
you can set up and just starts.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can have
Talking to-
multiple achievements that talk to the same stat. So if, for example, you're like, "Ooh, I want to have like a tiered achievement or a tiered set of achievements
Mhm.
where
Get
it's
10
supposed to be
kills, get 40
500."
kills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those can all be assigned to the same stat, and they just trigger a different levels.
Right,
right?
wait, speaking of stats, did we mention Google's 10,000 problem?
No, we didn't even hit that.
That's
fucking
why, yep.
point. So
Yeah.
okay, all right. So
Keep going. We're not
so
done
then
yet.
so this is just the dealing with them and like configuring them stuff, right? But there's also the question of like how do they work? How do we implement them in the game?
Do they work the way you fucking think you would
Yeah,
be able
how
to
do
make
we-
an achievement?
Yeah, how do we make it so that like we can like configure them in a way that makes sense that a player
Swear to God.
understands and that we
Every
can, like,
platform's like, you're going to need dozens of these.
yeah. So
Ready?
so most platforms differentiate between two concepts, which are a
Like an
Incremental.
incremental
achievement or one that's just a plain unlock. Incremental meaning you can track progress on it, so it can have basically like fraction unlock.
You got a little bar going up. It's like you killed 300 out of 500 enemies for this
Yep.
achievement.
So,
What the fuck?
so I'm going to say something that sounds insane here, which is that Apple actually made the best choice here, because they don't have two separate concepts. They have exactly one concept, which is things can be out of 100. It's a percentage. You can just unlock it. You don't have to fill up the bar, right? You can just go from it being locked to it being unlocked. That's fine. Or everything's normalized to being a percent. Understandable to the player, always means the same thing.
Sure.
Don't have to fuck around with like what do the numbers mean, whatever. But it's just a percent. That's so easy to normalize as a develop. Like,
It is,
It's
but you wouldn't be
infrastructure.
able. So as a player, you wouldn't be able to be like, how many kills do I need to get? Then
Yeah, you couldn't
No.
you couldn't see it and
I'm 57%
no,
of
but
the
you,
way
you can
there.
see like if it says you need 10,000 kills, and you can see you could like infer, and it doesn't really matter. You just need to know like I'm halfway there, right? So like,
Okay.
so I think
Yeah.
it's, and also for the purpose of what
I would
achievements
say
are.
it's medium. Okay.
To me, it's the best design choice from a like it's got if it's going to have an opinion, that's the opinion to have.
as opposed to
Right.
just letting us put the number we want and then track the number, which would be the best.
Yeah, which
That
so
feels like
that's
the
that's the
best.
best from like us getting to what we want, which is what Steam does. Right? It's like Steam kind of has like almost no opinions about how it works. They just give you the
Great.
tools to do it, which is great. But it means that you got to decide how it works, right? And my opinion is most of this stuff does not fucking matter, right? If everything was on a scale of 0 to 100, doesn't make a fucking difference. Everybody has the same outcome
Mhm.
in terms of what achievements are doing. And honestly,
That's true. At that point, you
all of our
wouldn't
lives are
even need
easier.
incremental achievements. It's just like either it's done or if it's done, just set it to 100.
yeah, it's just done. Yeah, exactly. You don't need to have the
Yeah.
separate concepts. Everything's at a percentage. Like, that's the easiest one. And
Oh,
in my
yeah.
opinion, dealing with like the Steam, you can have it be whatever you want, is just time waster bullshit. Nobody needs that. We don't need that actually, but it makes us want to. It makes us feel like we should. It's cool to see like, you're 0 to 50,000. It's cool to see that bar.
How else am I going to track
But
if I've
also-
gotten 69, 420 kills?
Yeah,
in
and
one game?
its thing is
You
like
know?
it's for that kind of stuff, honestly.
Come on.
You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
but my real opinion is who gives a shit, and that's
Sure, fair.
you as a developer are wasting your time if you give a shit and do anything besides normalize it to
Yeah,
0
that's
to
fair.
100.
Okay, so
Right.
you like apples.
So
method.
Apple to me that was right because they did that, you don't have a choice. That's the way you do it. There's one way to do it, exactly one, and it makes sense. It's fine.
It at least gives you simplicity.
Yes. And it
Yes,
keeps
okay,
you
I
from
get behind
wasting
that.
time on bullshit that doesn't matter because achievements and what the fucking number is doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Carry on. Yep.
So that's
hit me,
so
hit me with
that's
Google.
the best choice. Steam is then the next best because it lets you do whatever you want.
Okay,
so that's
sure.
great, right? Sure.
Except you have to hook it up to the stats, which is
So you gotta hook up
annoying.
the stats. And Steam, you can also modify. So like your shit can be published at some point. You're like, ooh, I made a mistake on the balance here. 50,000. Nobody can get that. I'm gonna drop it to 40 or whatever. You can do that. That's fine. It'll keep working. Google Play.
Why would you even mention that? That seems like
Yeah,
something
Google
that
Play.
would just be allowed at all
Yeah,
times.
Google Play made the worst decisions across the board. So
Hit us. Give us the
so
highlights.
they
just kinda-
differentiate. so they differentiate between incremental and non-incremental in like a check mark way. You have to like basically like, yes, this is an incremental stat. Otherwise, it's just a Boolean. You know, I've got it or not.
Okay.
Once you mark it as incremental, you have to choose a number of steps. It intentionally doesn't mean anything. It's just whatever it is you're tracking, right? And that's how you get your progress bar for some achievement, right?
So basically your max number that you're
Yeah.
trying to. It's like, okay, I want to
So-
kill 5,000 enemies.
Yeah,
5,000.
so then the number is 5,000, right? So then they made two insane decisions, which again were made by people who clearly don't know what games are, don't make them, don't play them, right? The most insane one was they made the limit to how many steps you can have be 10,000. Arbitrary
Yeah.
number, no relation to computer science, just a number somebody picked because it was a nice round.
So
If you're a person who doesn't play video games, that's a big number, right?
Oh,
So
it's
if I
so
wanted to,
big.
like-
10,000 is so many.
So if I were to get like a good score in a game,
Yep.
It better be
was-
under 10,000.
better be under
10,000. Yep.
okay, I got it.
Yep.
Thanks, Google.
So now
Love
if
it.
you're trying to track something bigger than that, then now you're playing this weird game where you have to say like, okay, well, the highest I can go is 10,000. So what the player sees is like out of 10,000, right? At the most, right? But now I want the track like, ooh, I want you to have to craft 50,000 floors in this, whatever. So that means that now you have to basically divide the number by whatever the max is.
You're basically
Be like,
normalizing it.
Yeah, I submit 5 floors per floor.
So now you're back over to Apple's way of doing it. where
Exactly.
it's-
Now it's just normalized
it's a
to
fake
100
bar or
again.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a fake bar. So now on Google Play, if the number you want to track is bigger than 10,000, it's a fake bar again.
Yep.
It's just a
Okay.
proportion. Is effectively what it is, right? And so that means that now some of the progress bars that a player is looking at are proportions, and some are the literal number, right? Who the fuck knows? A player can't possibly guess what's going on there, right?
You can't even
So-
tell, frankly.
So in essence, it's a proportion bar.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that you can treat it that makes any sense, right?
But
So-
you get
so
to
we-
decide randomly if it has 100 steps or 10,000.
Yeah, but you have to now decide, like, okay, given that I'm now limited, that that anything over 10,000 has to be at 10,000, how should I actually treat this sort of generally, right?
And
Because
the answer is just do it exactly the same as you did iOS.
that'd
just
be the
make-
best way to do
Just
it. is
normalize
be like
everything
that.
at 100,
Normalize to 100.
and then
Yep.
you just,
and then you did it. There's a normal way to do it. My opinion on Google Play, because they made another decision,
Oh, God.
They,
Which
they need to
they
stop
got-
doing
someone
that.
needs to get out of
which isn't
Away from the whiteboard.
yeah, it's an
Get out of there.
understandable decision, but an insane one. And
Oh,
that one
okay.
is as in like it's the thing that if you don't play or make games, you'd be like, yeah, you should do this, right?
Oh,
that
okay,
makes
so it's
sense.
so it's understandable if the
If you
person
don't-
making the decision has no fucking idea what they're doing.
Yes, exactly. Because here's what they said, right? So they're going to be like, okay, so what happens
Ugh.
if you're making a game, whatever, and you're like, okay, I made this achievement, and you have to get 100 of something to
Okay.
unlock it, right?
I'm with you. Yeah.
You do that,
Oh.
and then later on, you're like, actually, that should be 50. whatever.
That was too many. 100 was way too many. Yeah.
So you want to change it, right? But what have you lost some sense of fairness here, right? Because some people had to get all 100 to get there or whatever, right?
Well, yeah, it's a betrayal on the levels that no one has ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that you've reduced the requirement for achievement.
Yeah. So Google's position is once you've published an achievement so that it can be used, its goal, its number of steps, right? Or it's basically whether it has steps or not, and then if it does, how many it has,
is locked in, baby.
Unchanging, permanent things that can never be changed. Also, you can never delete an achievement, right?
Yeah.
So once an achievement is published, you can't delete it. Once an achievement is published, it exists forever. Because you know what would be unfair if you take an achievement away from a player, right?
This is video games, okay? Like this shit.
Well, you could unpublish a game.
But not an achievement,
but not an achievement though, because that would be unreasonable. So once you publish it, there's not a delete button. It's literally impossible to remove. You cannot do it. But also, you can't edit those values. So now, if we bring this back to this fucking manual problem, or even the patch problem, either way, right? There's not a place in Google Play where you can be like, let me go like look at all my achievements so I can scan them and see like what all their steps are, and there's not a place where you can do that. You have to look at them one by one. But there's also not like
you don't get to look at them. You don't get to look at a list of them.
You can see a list of them, but all you can see is their ID and their like name and icon, right? You can't see. And for some reason, the average unlock time, because that's the stuff we really need access to front and center, But what you can't do, you can't just like, so you have to like go into the editor for that achievement to see if is it hidden, is it configured correctly, all that kind of stuff, right? The stuff that you can't change once you publish it, right? So there's not a way for you to like look at it and be like, is this correct? And also, if you go look at it, there's not like a next button to like go to the same page for the next achievement, like work your way down the list and like be like, okay, cool.
No, you got to back out.
You got to back out. Figure out where you left off. Find the next achievement. Look at that one. So that's how you have to figure out, did I fuck anything up? And if you fucked something up, you fucked it up for the rest of time.
It's fucking permanent.
The rest of time.
Yeah. That's on your record. That is never going away.
Yeah. So that
it's like a detention. That's just on your permanent record.
So, which is the other reason why, in my opinion, the way that you should treat Google Play achievements is they are only Boolean. It's the only way, because that's also the default. That's the only way you can guarantee nothing gets fucked up. It's the only way. Except you can make an achievement you decide you don't want, then you're still fucked.
Well, if you always standardize it out of 100, then you can change the value however you want.
So that's the secondary one, which is almost as good, except if at any point you forget to fill out that field, or have a typo and you type 10 or 1,000 or whatever, can't fix it. That's just
because you got to do it manually.
Because you got to do it manually if you didn't pull it all off in one go with the batch upload, right? So
that's where we're at.
We didn't even get into the store listing and stuff, which we also did.
No, because all of that is also horrible and basically, frankly, for the same reasons, which is like
it's all the same stuff.
It's the same stuff,
same vibe across the board.
As in, like every single platform is just like, hey, here's the million things you got to do, and a lot of it makes sense. Like you need localized versions of everything. Like you need all of this stuff. That's all true.
I would say the facts of it all make sense, of course. Like you need information from us.
Yeah. But their approach was just, you know what? Make it manual. Just manual across. You know what's great?
Crazy.
Things that are error prone because you have to switch languages and do 1,000 things.
Steam has 20,000 games being published on it every year now.
Every single one had to do this.
Just
how many hundreds of thousands of developer hours have gone into typing in
just cut it out,
making grayscale images.
And there's a lot that makes me mad about big tech companies. A lot. But there's nothing that makes me more actively irate than when they are wasting my time when they have effectively infinite resources.
Yes. When they're wasting your time while taking a third of your life.
This is why, like, if you get me started on fucking Microsoft Internet Explorer and how much time...
We got to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but how much time they destroyed for web developers for a 15-year period, right? Well, just destroyed. They wasted
even the
literally millions of hours of people's time.
With
that shitty browser, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the not shit that shows up. Like there's all this stuff that because they don't provide alongside these things the proper tools, they crowdsource everybody else's time for stuff they could solve. They could just choose to solve it. And it's honestly actually not very expensive.
It's like the equivalent of the data center showing up and just slurping up everybody else's power, right? Yeah, where it's like It's like our margins are so much more important than everybody else's time that we'll just use everybody else's resources as an externality so that we don't have to actually do anything. And then the difference in that time spend, that's called profit. That's called profit, baby.
Which is, but the part, because that's true, but at the same time, the amount of time needed to fix these problems and the cost of that time is negligible. It's literally, it's negligible for the cost of those operations, right?
Yes.
Like even if you test 5 high-paid Apple engineers for a year, you wouldn't need anything close to that. But even if you did, right?
Mhm. The human time savings.
It doesn't, but that's literally zero for Apple. That doesn't cost them anything because the amount of money that they have access to is so many times larger than that. It was free. It's free to them to do that. Right? So the choice that they're making is, hey, yeah, sure. We could, at no cost to us, we could solve this problem. You know what we're going to do instead is we're going to waste millions of hours of other people's time.
This is why because a lot of the like PR speak from all of these companies, it's all about like developers.
Yes, that's the part too where I get
and
so
I'm like,
mad. I'm like,
shut the fuck up, okay? Until you Steam, you listen to the club. Until you fix the fucking JPEG uploader on the achievements thing, I don't think you care. I'm honest. I don't give a shit. You can do all the big features you want. You can make a whole new box, Steam console. I don't give a shit. Until you fix the uploader, do you care about devs? Do you? I don't think so. I'm gonna be honest. I don't fucking think so. That's crazy. Crazy waste of my time that you could fix in a second. Give me a break.
Even if it doesn't take you said, it's been like this since we started. It's been like this since Crashlands.
Makes me rip my own face off.
Yeah, that's just so aggravating.
They're on to other things now. That's in the past, Sam. Just let it go.
But I will say this is just to cap off the achievements thing, and also store stuff in general. This is
we got to wrap pretty quick though. But
let's go.
There is no depth to no absence of depth to the strength of my opinion. That if there's something you have to do for a store, the only move to make is whatever is the most cost effective for you to do. That's the only thing you should ever do.
Yes.
So
they'll ask you to do everything.
They'll ask you to do everything. They'll ask you to do a million things and say no to every single thing you can because it's not actually going to come. Like when they say, like, "Oh, you're going to get this feature treatment if you do this." You know how many times it's turned into anything for us? Fucking zero, right? Yeah. So we do it to make sure we're participating, to make sure that we are putting ourselves in the best position possible so that something could happen, right? But the only reasonable thing for you to do is whatever is the minimal one, because they're happy to waste every second of your time chasing stuff, right?
Yeah, having you hook up all kinds of SDKs that don't matter, and
they love trying to make you do stuff to keep all the data trapped in their platform. They're going to do everything they can to steal your players' data and to waste your time. So the only rational move you have is to say, what is the absolute bare fucking minimum that I can do to accomplish these tasks? Which also means, when you're dealing with achievements and stuff, like, just unlock it or lock it. Don't fuck around with.
Sometimes the bare minimum is still 1,800 image uploads.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you still got to do that.
Which is just not,
Well, yeah, and we were all stoked about it because we're like, oh man, there's so many cool achievements we could do and how many dudes, And then as we make more and more of them, we're realizing like, wow.
Yeah. We set a trap for ourselves, having too much fun.
It doesn't get easier when you do more, which is like,
well,
the things that are software, it should get easier as you do more. That's how software is supposed to work.
Plus, like, we have to track the achievements in the game. So, like, we could just show a UI that shows your achievements, right? And not hook them up to the platforms, but that's not allowed. Right? Like, we have to hook them up to the platform.
Well, so everybody wants them on the platform. Nobody gives a shit if it's in the game.
Yeah.
They go to the platform.
So that's what we're up. That's what we're up to. I hope everybody else is doing good.
Anyways. Had to get that off my chest a little bit.
A little bit of a soapbox episode. Old man yells at cloud episode.
I have been so bad this week. I can't even.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. It'll get worse.
Yep, it'll get worse.
All right, that's all the time we have for this week. We'd like to thank our producers, Fat Bard and Samba DaCosta, for putting the podcast together, and thanks to our community moderators who keep our Discord running. To get more involved in the Butterscotch community, just go to podcast.bscotch.net, where we have links to the Discord, a way for you to donate to support the podcast, and links to the archives. And if you haven't yet, head on over to Steam, pick up the demo of How Many Dudes, give it a play, give it a wish list, because it's coming in a couple of months, and you'll be able to play the full game for real. So we appreciate it. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.